I believe we have one testifier on Zoom, Kyle Beltramini. Welcome. Please introduce yourself for the record and begin.
Yes, thank you very much for the introduction. And also thank you to the committee for the opportunity to speak with you today. By way of introduction, my name is Kyle Beltramini, and I serve as the Policy Research Fellow for the American Council of Trustees and Alumni, or ACTA. We are an independent, nonpartisan nonprofit dedicated to ensuring that every student receives an intellectually rich, high-quality college education at an affordable price.
Hey, Kyle, do you mind pausing one moment? We're going to try to fix the audio. I apologize.
No problem.
Thank you, Kyle. Do you mind speaking a little bit loudly? Thank you.
Sure. Are you able to hear me okay?
It's a little bit better. Please proceed.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, my name is Kyle Beltramini. I'm the Policy Research Fellow at the American Council of Trustees and Alumni. We are an independent, nonpartisan nonprofit dedicated to ensuring that every student receives an intellectually rich, high-quality college education at an affordable price. With this mission in mind, it's easy to see why ACTA enthusiastically supports Senate File 377. We believe it is essential that American higher education works to restore fair and just admissions practices at our colleges and universities. We're grateful to Senators Hoover Bain and to Chair Fatai for bringing this issue before the committee, as well as for inviting me to testify in this matter. For over 30 years, ACTA has worked with a network of over 23,000 alumni, governing board members, and policymakers across the country to identify best practices in higher education policy. Our philosophy on admissions has always been clear. This process must be defined by integrity, transparency, and fairness. Legacy admissions simply have no place in this industry, as they are clearly antithetical to the principles of academic excellence and equal opportunity, which form the bedrock of liberal education. Despite this, a majority of institutions across the country continue to rely on a system that places undue weight on wealth and personal connections. Too often, our nation's colleges and universities are willing to narrow the scope of their academic mission for the sake of financial gains. Indeed, this is not a new issue, unfortunately. In 2011, shortly after Wallace Hall was appointed the trustee of the University of Texas System Board of Regents, he began a series of investigations which uncovered widespread corruption in the admissions processes. It had become common practice for Texas legislators to intercede at the university to ensure that their children and their benefactors' children received preferential treatment and were admitted to the UT Austin School of Law when they did not meet the institution's high academic standards. What was Mr. Hall's reward for this diligent service in the name of transparency and accountability? He was made a public pariah. Multiple members of the legislature threatened him with impeachment and even prosecution. The rot that Mr. Hall exposed was not contained to Texas, as the 2019 Varsity Blues scandal demonstrated. This large-scale admissions bribery scheme saw wealthy parents paying off proctors to cheat on standardized tests and paying coaches and administrators to recruit students regardless of their credentials. One administrator at the University of Southern California testified that, quote, the larger University Advancement Office accepted and embraced this underbelly as business as usual. Senators, America's students cannot afford business as usual. Confidence in higher education has plummeted, with just over 1/3 of Americans expressing a great deal of confidence in the industry and nearly as many expressing little to no confidence at all. Legitimate concerns regarding cost, academic quality, political bias, and inequality are exacerbated by a kind of resigned cynicism that we see emerging every time these scandals are brought to light. Can there be any wonder why the percentage of graduating high school seniors choosing to attend college is declining? And what is so frustrating about this issue is that a college degree remains valuable for most prospective students. A recent analysis found that 53,000 degree programs of 53,000 degree programs by the Foundation for Research on Equal Opportunity found that 77% of bachelor's programs had a positive return on investment. For many, attending college remains one of the most effective pathways to upward social and economic mobility. Just as vitally, an education steeped in liberal arts principles provides the skills and knowledge needed to thrive in our increasingly diverse, competitive, and global society. This is a resource that should not be restricted to the few and the fortunate. Legacy preferences create a deeply unequal playing field for students. Admitting students due to their familial or financial connections signals that their hard work that they put in, the adversities they overcome to achieve academic success, are of secondary importance to an institution's finances. This dynamic harms individual students, betrays the fundamental mission of higher education and ultimately weakens the overall academic quality of an institution. Schools that tout their egalitarian natures, charitable missions, and history of service to their communities cannot in good faith maintain these unfair and unequal systems. These are not new ideas. Over the past few years, legislation banning legacy preferences passed in several states, with the latest, California's Assembly Bill 1780, specifically restricting the practice at private colleges and universities as well. ACTA is proud to support many of these initiatives and will continue to advocate for this much-needed reform. I want to close by highlighting just how fundamental this issue is to the history of our country. In a letter to John Adams in 1813, Thomas Jefferson railed against, quote, artificial aristocracy founded on wealth and birth. It was his hope that broadly available and publicly funded education would allow for the flourishing of a, quote, national aristocracy among the entire citizenry. Quote, worth and genius would thus have been sought out from every condition of life and completely prepared by education for defeating the competition of wealth and birth for public trusts. It is my hope that the next state to live up to this dream will be Minnesota. I thank you all for your time today and for the vital work you do to support American higher education. ACTA stands ready to assist you in any way that we can.
Thank you so much for your testimony.